if you're African or you're curious about Africa, I'm sure you've watched ishowspeed because he's doing an African tour. Now, up until this time, I wasn't really into his content because it's not really my demography, and I don't really like gaming anyway. But when I heard that he was traveling through Africa, it really caught my attention because, of course, that's where I'm from. Now, there's a few things that I want to talk about, which I found very, very interesting, especially when I watched the Zimbabwe version of his tour. And in a way, I was mostly disappointed, to be honest, because we failed to give him the best experience that we could. Now, don't get me wrong. There are people like, I think it's Pavute, Gracia. She did a fantastic job.
These balls taste good. You cook these balls? Okay, now let's try the Zimbabwe worm. Okay, now the worm's good.
Now, the reason why I'm using the word fantastic here is because she represented the country in the sense that she had this traditional music playing in the background, and she also was cooking the traditional way. Of course, I know her from before. I even met her once as well when Modumaya came, and she's fantastic. She's really focused on the traditional meals, the traditional dishes, and she does a fantastic job of it. So she really ticked the box on showcasing Zimbabwe there, because part of the things that people want to see when they visit Zimbabwe are they want to see the culture, they want to see the history, and also they want to have a Zimbabwean experience. So I noticed that there's a time when they went to this, or is it a nightclub or a place to eat, whatever it is. There were these two girls. They really looked out of place in a way, because it wasn't really the place to showcase, the Zimbabwean experience, because these girls looked like the girls you find in America anyway. And this guy, he's coming from America. Do you think he's going to be really interested in those type of girls? Absolutely not. And in fact, I think I saw a video, I think it was on TikTok or something, where he said wakanaka to this girl who was really natural, short hair and everything. And I've always maintained this, that for you to look beautiful, why don't you just maintain your natural beauty? Why do you have to extend it? And anyway, it's an expensive lifestyle. This is a culture that belongs to the hip hop culture, and this is foreign, it's American. Why don't we do our own thing that just represents us? But anyway, I digress. So it didn't turn out that he really got interested in the girls per se, but I just found it very weird, or rather funny, that to showcase Zimbabwe, you'd represent, Zimbabwe looking like that. That wasn't supposed to be a place for them. By the way, I'm not saying they should not, I'm telling people where to go. They shouldn't be here. They shouldn't be there. I'm just saying for the experience, that wasn't the place. In fact, if you put Gracia here and you put those girls there and you say who represents Zimbabwe, of course, Gracia wins 100%. So as time went on, I looked at the Kenyan stream. Oh my goodness, the Kenyans nailed it. I mean, they did the whole safari thing, the Maasai thing. I mean, the guy was even drinking blood and all of that and jumping high. And I mean, it just blended in so naturally. They really gave him an experience. And I think they were, in a way, they were very, very prepared. Because I was just amazed by the choreography of how everything went. Of course, there are cases where it got really, really wild, where people was just, there were just too many people. There were just too many people. Now, what I want to talk about is how us, the Africans, don't appreciate what we have. I also saw a few videos of Americans saying, oh my God, we've been lied to. We didn't know that Africa had, Wi-Fi. We didn't know Africa had tall buildings. They thought it was just mud huts, because that is how it's portrayed in charity programs. It's portrayed like that in in movies. They make us look like, we're so backward. But what I found very interesting was there was a lady who said, these Africans, they are richer than us. Because if you see them with a car, or if you see that they have a house, they've bought it, it's theirs. And if you compare that lifestyle to the Americans, she was saying, here we just have debt and we have no way out. We are trapped. We want to go to Africa. And when I heard that, I just found it very interesting, because this is the notion that I tried to talk about as well on my channel. Looking back, don't get me wrong, I've been through all those waves of idolizing Tupac, Biggie Smalls and Asha, and even our concept of love is based on those love songs and Mary J. Blige and all of that. Heartbreak, we just learnt it from them, right? It was not cultural. So even right now, our perception of what is family, what is love, what is a man, no wonder why the lines are blurred now. Sometimes you get to see men thinking that it's okay for the wife to help you out, take care of the family financially and provide. Now it's a norm. But we know growing up that is the duty of a man. Now, I know sometimes these lines are blurred. Okay, we live in the 21st century plus, we've moved into Europe and America. Those lines are blurred. But if we want to follow our culture and what it stands for, it's there, but we don't want it. We want the Western one. And when I hear and when I see those Americans, especially in ishowspeed, really getting excited doing the local stuff, tasting the local food. Just Zimbabwe alone. Can you imagine that companies like Pizza Inn and Chicken Inn, they make so much money because we see fast food as the food that is the best. Yet that's the food that brings a lot of health problems. But it's marketed that way. We don't want our own local foods. So it's become a situation which is, how can I say? For me, it's very, very frustrating because we don't do a very good job of promoting our own culture. The reason why I say that is because take a look at, say, for example, the Indians or the Pakistanis. They were also colonized by Britain. But even here in England, they've kept their tradition. We can call them backward. We can call them, they don't want to integrate and all of that. Yeah, we can say all of that. But the one thing that they have is, for the most part, they have their culture on lockdown. They don't mess with that. They have their culture, even though they were colonized. If you go and look at Pakistan, and you look at India, and also some of these other countries that were colonized by the British, they've kept all the good stuff, but they've kept the culture as well. Whereas if you look at us, from the schools, the dressing, the culture that we've adopted, we've totally embraced the Western culture to a point where it's very hard to tell from a Zimbabwean to an American sometimes. If you look at those two girls that I mentioned earlier on, you could swear that those girls are from America, just based by the way they were dressed, how they were exposed, the hair, the lashes and everything. You wouldn't be wrong if you said, those girls are American. So what am I saying here? What I'm saying is, as I get older, I start to realize the importance of culture, the importance of even our food that we eat. It is very, very important. And not only that, it's nutritional. Every now and again, I buy moringa from Amazon. Moringa. And it's so expensive. I buy mauyu powder. It is so expensive. Very high in vitamin C, by the way. Very, very expensive. So all these foods are now creeping into the West, now repackaged as foods that are very, very nutritional, very, very good for your health. And then what do? We drop that and take on the Starbucks. We take on all these expensive coffees mixed with the high calorie drinks, right? We've left our own stuff. So I just find it fascinating that we have moved away from our own culture, looking at the other people's culture, and yet those people are looking at us saying, wow, this is amazing. We want to be in Africa. Now, of course, coming to Africa as a tourist and living there is a huge difference. I've experienced it myself. But if you are able to stay focused, build a base for yourself, the life will be much better off in Zimbabwe. But I also need to mention that, or in Africa, I also need to mention that it depends at what level you are. Sometimes you can find that there are other opportunities that you get in America or Europe that you don't get in Zimbabwe. And there are also other things that you get in Zimbabwe that you can't get abroad. So it's a matter of a balancing act. So in what I see today, we just need to find that balance. And remember that we have great things in our countries, each and every country. I mean, I saw the Zambian stream. Yeah, the Zambian stream. I was so shocked that they would showcase the Shaolin Temple in Zambia, a country that has so much to show. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. So where I'm going with this is sometimes we need to appreciate what we have. And as us in the diaspora, we also need to recognize that we don't have to put ourselves under so much pressure to look Western or to have all those Western things. Eat organic. Focus on growing your own food, growing your own vegetables, having your own fruit trees, and just having a laid back lifestyle. That's a lifestyle that is both very good for your health and also just peaceful. This idea of trying to take England and bringing it into Zimbabwe is very, very expensive. Or taking the American culture and try and live it in Zimbabwe, it's very, very expensive. I'm sure you can agree with me that if you try to maintain all the Brazilian hairs and the eyelashes and the what you call these the nails, the extended backsides, it gets very expensive. And why? Sometimes we just need to accept ourselves as we are, because we are seen as beautiful from other people's eyes. We are just not happy with what we are. So as we try to, for those of you that are planning to relocate to Zimbabwe, don't put yourself too much under pressure. Under pressure to try and be Western in Zimbabwe. No, that laid back traditional lifestyle is fantastic. There's less pressure, and there's less effort that you need to really put into it. Anyway, that's my take. I'm really curious to see other versions of what the other countries can bring to the table. And I'm definitely really excited to see that. I would have loved to see ishowspeed at Great Zimbabwe, being told about the history of Zimbabwe. I remember when I went there for the first time, it was an experience. I actually have it on video. I may share the videos sometime. It was an experience. They had the traditional dances. We were told about the history of Zimbabwe. It was just phenomenal. It was amazing. That experience was brilliant. So I think ishowspeed would have benefited from that. Even the safaris, Matopos, Wange National Park, I'm sure he would have loved to see that, But what did we do? He just spent, time in the city and, didn't get to experience a lot. Perhaps maybe it's because of his planning or maybe his schedule, and I don't know. Anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments box below. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one.